This Crev's corner, the ball is in your court. Swish.
Welcome back to Crev's Corner, guys. This is podcast number 6 with Arrick, returning guest. Arrick, just introduce yourself for the people who haven't seen the previous podcast.
My name is Eric Wilson. I am a head writer. Of course, I talk with Eric. I have a YouTube. I have a blog. I have it all. Just go check out my social media networks online. Of course, I talk with Eric, Arrick. Just check me out.
Yeah, I was going to say, go check out Courtside Talk with Arrick. I'm on there a couple times. He's got a great couple podcasts with other guests. I've had Arrick on this podcast for a couple times. And yeah, we just have fun, man. I was going to say, I enjoy you. Arrick just released a Joel Embiid MVP campaign video. I really like it. I was going to say, that stuff's tough. So go check that out, guys. Give it a view. And we'll just jump right into it. So we're going to talk about just some recent stuff happening around the week in the NBA. First, shout out to James Worthy, previous Laker, turning 59 years old. Happy birthday, James Worthy. He was the 1987-88 Finals MVP over the Detroit Bad Boys Pistons. His career averages were 17.6 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Hall of Famer, 3-time NBA champ, and 2-time All-NBA. I was just going to say, I told you share your favorite James Worthy moment. My favorite is it was the Pistons year they won their first championship when they got swept, or when they were sweeping the Lakers in Game 4. Robert or McHorn, or I'm trying to think of his name. It's the Detroit Pistons coach.
Robert Mahorn, I think.
Yeah, Mahorn. Yeah, that's his name. He thought, or James Worthy thought, he got fouled or whatever. And this is at the tail end of, this is when Magic was getting old. He got the AIDS soon after it. It's when Kareem was really old. And Robert Mahorn, he thought he fouled him. And James Worthy broke down and just started yelling at the ref, like just point blank. It's in the 30 for 30 Bad Boys, but he broke down, started yelling at the ref. And it was obviously, it was at the tail end of those guys' careers. But I mean, it was like the kind of the passing the torch from the Lakers and the Boston Celtics, and before the Bulls, that's when they passed it to the Pistons for a little bit. What's your favorite James Worthy moment?
Probably when he was at UNC with Michael Jordan wearing number 52, just his athleticism. He's just James Worthy. He was a great player. Like you said, I've listened to him with the Lakers and Celtics 30 for 30, and also the Detroit Pistons 30 for 30. He's just one of the greatest players of all time, and he seems like a pretty cool guy to talk to.
Yeah, he goes, like, I remember in the Bad Boys 30 for 30 was my favorite, and I still watch it every couple months. But I remember the interviewer looked at him, he goes, what happened different than the first time they matched up? And James Worthy point blank was like, they kicked our ass. Like, it was as simple as that. Like, he's a really chill, down to earth dude. We'll tell it how it is. And I really like how he gets in the interviews, because he's one of those NBA guys who, one of the legends who you don't see on TNT or you don't see broadcasting, but every now and again his interviews are golden. But without further ado, we'll get into the NBA. What happened last night is the big game of the night. The Miami Heat took down the red hot 26-7 Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz have been on a tear, won 19 out of the last 22 games. So they beat them 124 to 116. Miami has won 8 out of their last 11. They are 7th in the East right now, and it looks like they're getting over those early season struggles. How do you feel about the Miami Heat, Arrick?
I think, I was one of those guys who thought it was an overreaction of how everybody was treating the Miami Heat. When they're saying, oh, we know the finals appearance was a bust and all that other stuff. I just knew they had to get healthy. Even though they didn't have Tyler Hero last game, I think just them as a whole, as a healthy team, they have a lot of chemistry. They're just a great team that are around each other, and they just know each other. And I think they can probably, if they continue this hot streak they are on, I think they can probably make some real big noise in the upper parts of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I definitely was rooting for Miami Heat up until they played the Lakers. I liked Miami Heat coming out of the conference last year. I think chemistry has a lot to do with it. And you got locker room guys like Iggy. I mean, Iggy's a big one. They lose that toughness out of Jay Crowder. He didn't go to the Heat back this year. He went to the Phoenix Suns. But Jimmy Butler's playing out of his mind right now in February. Last night, he played 33-10, or he scored 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. And Jimmy Butler is one of those guys who struggled to stay on the court. He had the coronavirus, and then he got healthy, but he's only played 19 games with these Miami Heat guys. So I think the Miami Heat have very upside potential. When you're talking about Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero clicking on all cylinders, Goran Dragic is a guy off the bench who not a lot of people give credit. You got young Kendrick Nunn. You got Bam Adebayo. I mean, you got all these young pieces, and they were talking, do we trade these young pieces for Bradley Beal? I respect Pat Riley for not just dumping everything and dumping the plan. I think that I'm right with you when I say I think the Miami Heat can make some noise, and I think they could give Philly and Brooklyn a run at that 1 through 3 spot, depending on what Boston does if Boston gets over these early struggles. But I like those 4 teams when we're talking about top teams in the East.
Yeah, they're definitely a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah. So staying on the Miami Heat topic, Sabonis out of Indiana Pacers got the All-Star nod because Kevin Durant came out and said that he has a calf injury and will be missing the All-Star game. And there's some rumors going around that they offered Jimmy Butler the All-Star spot, but he said no because he felt that Bam was more deserving of it than him. And he said he didn't want to go without Bam. How do you feel about that? Players just refusing to go to the All-Star game out of respect of loyalty. I feel like Jimmy Butler is one of those guys that has his teammates' backs and he's very loyal.
I think it's a good thing for morale when you're looking at it. Of course, Bam Adebayo did not make the All-Star team, and I think like you said, it's just a loyalty there. But I don't really see the problem with it if you did play in the All-Star. But I guess him and the Miami Heat must have felt some type of way that he was not there. But I don't think Bam was going to be an All-Star this season. A lot of people say he was a big snub, but I would have taken Sabonis over him for the All-Star season this year.
Yeah, Sabonis is having a good year. Also, another thing about Jimmy Butler is he's not one of those guys that's going to reflect, shoot, you're going to kill me. Hold up. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I think that Jimmy Butler is going to be one of those guys who, when we reflect back on his career in 10, 20 years, he's not going to be a guy who cares about the All-Star game numbers and stuff like that. He's going to be strictly how many finals did I get to? Did I win any championships? I think Jimmy Butler, if he's in the right environment, I don't think he's a one on a championship team. Now, I said that last year, and he took the Miami Heat to the finals, so I can't say that. I don't know if Jimmy Butler's a one on a championship team. I think he can be a co-star like a Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. How one is not significantly better than the other. I think that could happen for Jimmy Butler. But if Jimmy Butler, I don't think that Miami team, unless they stay with each other and contracts and egos don't become an issue, I think that Miami team can make a lot of noise out of the East. So coming back on Sabonis, talking about him at Indiana, we kind of talked about it already, but a sports senior journalist, Jim Hollinger, said that Sabonis should be an all-star if Bam and Jimmy are in the game too. So how do you feel about that? I would say you kind of voice your opinion. You think Sabonis should be in the All-Star game?
I think, like Kendrick Perkins said, every year we say somebody's been snubbed, and every year we say this person should have got in, this person should have got in. In some cases, it is true, but we can't we can't say everybody deserves to be an all-star. There has to be a cutoff. There has to be an Indeed cutoff. Sabonis started off really great with the Indiana Pacers. He's been playing the great offense that he's been playing since last year. Definitely deserves an all-star. Bam Adebayo, I mean, he's having a okay season, but it's not all-star-ish in my opinion.
Yeah, and like a lot of people don't take credit. Sabonis is keeping that Indiana Pacers team in the playoff run. Like they're top 4, 5, 6 in the East all season. So I think that a lot of people should give Crev to that. I'm glad Sabonis got in going into his second All-Star game. I think that the Heat's record wasn't good enough to get 2 All-Stars in either. I would have been fine with Jimmy getting in. He didn't have that great year. He didn't play a lot of games too. He's only played 19 games this year. So I really don't think that. And also we talked about if you're going to say someone's an all-star snub, tell us who you're going to replace. You know what I mean? Don't say you can't have 20 people on the end of the bench. We talked about that in Crev's Corner podcast 5. Me and Eric picked out our all-star teams. You guys should go check that out. But yeah, if you're gonna talk about all-star snubs like a Trae Young or like some of these other guys, tell us who you think shouldn't make it. And I don't think there's anyone in the East that I would say Sabonis should have replaced. But if you're injury, I mean, go in. I would say I don't think there's anyone that I think that Bam Adebayo deserves a nod over someone in the All-Star game already.
All right, so look at this. Player 1 is averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Player 2 is averaging 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. Who are you taking?
Is it player 2?
Yeah. You going to say player 2?
Yeah, I picked player 2.
Bonus. That's a bonus.
Yeah, and you got to think, wait, who was player A's stats?
20 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists.
No, who is it? Like,
oh, that's Bam.
And you got to think, all right, you're looking at 7th. You got to think the Heat were at the bottom of the East at one point. Amid the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Washington Wizards, He were down there. He were like the 11th team in the East. You got to think, so Pacers are staying up in that 4-5 spot and Sabonis is keeping their head above water. So I think, and then we're also going to talk about, so KD came out, say he's injured, can't play in the All-Star game. He is a captain, and I feel like he's going to end up drafting his team. But that means someone's got replaced as a starter. Jason Tatum has been named the starter. Do you think Jason Tatum deservingly should be named the starter?
100%. I feel like Jason Tatum might get a little bit too much hate than he usually would be if he wasn't a part of the Boston Celtics organization, because everybody does not like the Boston Celtics. But I think, Jason Tatum is just having another great year. He's really shown us that he's a great young player in the NBA. Him and Jaylen Brown, they're having their struggles right now. They got a win yesterday with Kemba having 30 points. But, you still got to look at it. Jason Tatum definitely deserves to be a starter for this year.
I think Jason Tatum is awesome. I think that he is going to be one of the very good young players in this league. And I think it's a matter of time. They got to adjust with each other. I don't know if Kemba Walker is the right point guard for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart. I think they need to get him a new team and find out what you can at least get for him. But I think Jason Tatum 100% deserves that all-star spot that KD will have played in. All right, going into the West, we're going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks and Kristaps Porzingis. He's been out with a couple of injuries. You can kind of tell this Mavericks thing isn't working. Do you expect him getting moved? His brothers have came out and said that, or anonymous NBA agents have came out and said that his brothers are a big problem when it comes to his ego. And they said, why do you think that he always gets traded everywhere he goes? So do you think Kristaps Porzingis is a Maverick for a while, or do you think that he is on the move?
I think as NBA fans, we should not be surprised if we do not see Kristaps Porzingis in a Mavs jersey in the next couple of weeks. I'm a fan of Kristaps Porzingis. Not the biggest fan, but I respect his game and I think he's a great player. But he has been very inconsistent for the Mavs. They lost him during that playoffs in a key moment for the playoffs because he was not healthy. You have to chop it up as an L. If you need to go have a consistent star to play with Luka Doncic, then you need that. Right now, if you're picking Kristaps Porzingis to be your consistent star, you're not going to get very far. He's a great player when it matters, but he's also one of the most worst defensive bigs in the league. He's a great offensive big, but he's one of the worst defensive bigs. So I think the Mavs should really look forward to trading him or doing something with his contract as of right now.
Yeah, and I'm glad you kind of mentioned Luka Doncic, because right now is your window, Dallas. Like right now is your window to try to go get a championship build. I like the pieces they have around him. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is one of those guys who you don't rely on getting you 15 points, but he can get you 15 points a night. I don't think Kristaps Porzingis is the move, but I don't know what is the move. I think that a good defensive big, I think you go shop, maybe not get a second star, but maybe get key good pieces to round out your starting lineup, give you a little bench depth. I think that the Mavericks know what they're doing, and I think they're not dumb. And I think Cuban knows that you only got so much when you come to Doncic, and we've seen stars fall in, fall off, stock market up and down, up and down. So, I mean, right now is your window. Doncic is playing like an MVP, especially in this month. Amid early season struggles he had, but I don't know if Porzingis is the move. We also saw, we talked about before the podcast how the Warriors expressed interest in a swap for Andrew Wiggins for Porzingis. Tell them how you feel about that.
I really don't see who wins this trade. I'm not a fan of, I don't think either of these two players could really make your team per se better. I don't think Andrew Wiggins is a great player at all. I mean, he's really stepped up from his Timberwolf days, and he's really played a little bit better. But I don't really see both of them really impacting both of their teams in a positive way, if we're being totally honest.
Yeah, I don't see this move. I can kind of see the Warriors doing it, but because they have Wiseman being a defensive big, so I can kind of see the Warriors wanting to do this move, get rid of Wiggins, kind of giving Kelly Oubre that 3 spot to start at. But when you're talking about bigs, who are you going to put on the bench then? When you're talking about Draymond, Kristaps, and Wiseman, are you going to put Draymond at the 3? Or
I'm not sure. I mean, Draymond needs to be starting though. We see he had a triple double, I think yesterday. He can do it all, except for scoring. He's not a good scorer at all, but
he's productive. What I mean? Like even
he-
cuts to the basket, rebounding, getting the ball, putting it back up. Like Draymond Green has found himself to be productive, and that's what a lot of guys in this league don't do. Is once they lose their touch, like Westbrook. Westbrook is a prime example. He don't have the explosiveness he did in OKC, and you can kind of see he is more than less not recognizing it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like Draymond Green has adapted. He's adapted to, I'm not going to be able to guard these guys. Like I'm not going to be able to guard LeBron all night. You know what I mean? Like he was doing in 2015. Sorry, I cut you off, but I was gonna say that's one of the things that I think the Warriors got to look at is Kristaps, Wiseman, and Draymond. Who are you going to put on the bench? Are you going to run a super big lineup and almost contradict what the NBA is doing, starting 4 guards or starting 3 or 4 guards? Are you going to start Steph Curry, Klay Thompson when he gets back, or Kelly Oubre now, Draymond Green, Wiseman, Kristaps? Like I see where they want to get rid of Wiggins. I don't think that the Wiggins trade is good in the Mavs' eyes at all. I don't think Wiggins is that player for the Mavs to get, but maybe I don't know, man. What's your thoughts about it?
I mean, if you have Wiggins going to the Mavs, they definitely don't get better, in my opinion.
No.
You need a big. You need a 4 or maybe even a 3 to combat with Porzingis leaving. But and like you said, with the Warriors situation, I think it might be a little controversial to say, but I think you might have to. I'm not really even sure. You could play Draymond Green at the small forward.
Wait, what were you gonna say? That was controversial.
Yeah. I was gonna say you might want to put the rookie Wiseman coming off the bench, but that's gonna kill the defense, and the defensive bigs are gonna just eat on Porzingis because he's horrible. You saw what Zion was doing to Porzingis on that the game that they had. So I'm not sure.
Zion also on that dunk on Holmes, sending Holmes to the hoop. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't see it.
Dude, you gotta check it out. So Zion had at the top of the key, and he went to go drive, and he literally uses his off arm, and he sent Holmes, the big man out of Sacramento, to the basket. Like he flew, and then Zion just had a breakaway lane. Dude, you gotta check it out. I was gonna say, yeah, Zion's a tank. How about that? Shout out Zion for getting his first All-Star game too, first All-Star appearance. But yeah, I would say Mavericks need to get defensively better, and I don't think getting Wiggins for Kristaps is making them significantly defensively better. That's my thoughts. All right, moving on to not NBA basketball. We're talking about Jeremy Lin, the one sensation out of New York Knicks. That was an awesome time. We were growing up. I was a big NBA fan. I was kind of getting into the NBA when that happened. And Lin Sandy, it kind of like in a blink of an eye, it went away, but it took by storm. He went into LA and balled up on Kobe. I'm talking, it's crazy. And then Jeremy Lin faded out, went from Houston, LA. So he
got a ring with Toronto though.
Yeah, that game-winning 3 on Toronto was crazy. That was awesome. Just the simple walk-up. I think it also gatewayed, like, as silly as it sounds, I think Jeremy Lin introduced that you don't have to do a play coming out of like a game-winning situation, you don't got to run a play. I mean, they just gave it to Jeremy Lin. He kind of told everyone, get out of my way. And he kind of just pulled up three. And I think that kind of like, and then Kyrie Irving hit a three on Toronto later that year. But Jeremy Lin came out and said that he is experienced racial issues, talking about the coronavirus and stuff like that. He's getting called coronavirus on the court. My personal thoughts about it, we won't spend too much time on this, but I just don't think that is meant for the league. I think that even though we're playing a sport and it's competitive, it's bigger than basketball at this point.
Yeah, I think you have to have at least some maturity, to respect people and how they are viewed as in the world. We have been seeing an uprising in a lot of the Asian community, has seen a lot of threats towards them due to the COVID-19 coming out of China. But I don't think that you should call a person coronavirus on the court. I think that's really childish, and I don't think it really helps your team at all. And he's putting buckets on teams in the G League. I think he had around 27 points, so it's still not stopping him from playing great. But I think it's something that shouldn't happen on the basketball court.
Yeah, I think it lacks maturity, and like I kind of mentioned earlier, it's bigger in basketball. Like we're playing a sport, obviously, and it's competition, it's a win or loss. But when you come to things like that, there's just like NBA players said, there's things you just say and don't say on the court, and I don't think, especially in a pandemic like this and a global issue, you attack one person or one race about that. And then we're gonna kind of stay on that topic. So LeBron James came out. I don't know how to pronounce this soccer player's name. Do you know how to pronounce it?
Zlatan, I think they just call him.
Zoltan or something like that. He said, and there's a quote. I would say there's a big video about it, but he said LeBron James is phenomenal at what he's doing, but I don't like it when people with some kind of status and they do politics at the same time as what they're doing. I mean, do what you were good at. And LeBron James went in a post-game conference and spoke his piece. But here's one quote he kind of significantly got brought out from Bleacher Report. LeBron James is in response to Zoltan's comments on athletes staying out of politics. There's no way I would ever just stick to sports because I understand my platform and how powerful my voice is. And that's the thing that I understand. When we're talking about athletes using their platform, I think that they know that, simple as that, people like us, we're going to make our own opinions about it and we're going to see it. If LeBron never made that comment, we would never see that comment. So it's just like, I see where, I don't know, it's such a touchy issue. I see where athletes come from. They know that they have a stage and they know that kids are watching. And if Serena Williams says something about women's equality, girl athletes all across the nation are going to be impacted by it and be influenced. What's your thoughts?
Personally, I think with athletes, you're making millions of dollars, and you have a platform. You're given a platform to voice your opinions. I feel like you should be able to voice whatever opinions you have, even if it has to deal with civil rights, even if it has to deal with different rights in the world. I think you should be able and should voice your opinions. And I think what LeBron James has been doing is probably very controversial, but it's great for the athlete in America these days who is told not to really speak on your opinions. We have the First Amendment. I think of the Bill of Rights, the freedom of speech. You have the freedom of speech. I think you should be able to say whatever you want, even if it is wrong. I feel like you should just be able to voice your opinions and try to outreach and help the world on what you're doing today.
Yeah, definitely. I get what you mean. I don't support I don't support, obviously everyone has their own beliefs. I don't support some of the things that LeBron said, but I think that he's giving athletes that voice, and like him getting told to shut up and dribble, that's not cool. I didn't support that because these athletes get a platform, they get microphones in their face. So if you have that status, say what you want, say what you are thinking about. I think Zoltan is not understanding it because he's a guy who could use his voice to impact people and stuff like that. But I think if it's in a good influence, now if LeBron acts out and starts saying a bunch of stuff that really isn't a positive influence, I think that that's when we start cutting it off and we start chopping it up. But I think if he is one to talk about, I don't know about talking about former presidents and people of high power, talking bad about them. But if it's talking about global issues, I think that I wouldn't be opposed of athletes speaking out about that.
Yeah, I just, and everybody has their own opinion about it. There's no right or wrong answer about certain things like this. Like I said, it's just at the end of the day, it's just civil discourse. You're gonna have a different opinion than me, and I'm gonna have a different opinion than someone else, and so on and so on. I just think, people should be able and should be able to speak their mind.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, I definitely understand. I 100% agree. And like we not to be a dead horse, but these guys are given that platform. They get watched by millions of people every night. So they have that social status. Like I care about, even though Peyton Manning or Russell Westbrook or LeBron James don't know Braden Krevling from Plymouth, Ohio, they still hold maybe moments or they hold time of my day. So people's status in your heads, they hold that special place. So like me and my dad just talked about it, and I said, I watched LeBron since I was a young kid. So he obviously, whatever he says, I'm going to be influenced by it, either good or bad. I'm going to be influenced and impacted by it. And we pay money, hard earned money for these guys' jerseys, shoes, their salaries to go to games. You know what I mean? So I think that they hold a special place, even if it's just a stranger, they still hold a special place. And we're going to be influenced no matter what they say. I'll say, and then we're going to go over the playoff picture for the NBA now and kind of just give our reactions before we get into the All-Star game coming up in a couple weeks. I'm excited for this All-Star game, man. They're saying it's the same style as Kobe's, or that 24-point style. So I'm very excited for this All-Star game. I think it would be very fun. I'm sad KD isn't in it again, but so we're going to take a look at the East first. We got at the 1 seed Philadelphia, 2 seed Brooklyn, 3 seed Milwaukee, 4 seed Toronto, 5 seed Miami, 6 seed Nets or Knicks. The Miami, Knicks, Boston are all tied for that 5, 6, 7. And then you got Indiana at 8. And then rounding out the top 10 is Chicago at 9 and Charlotte at 10. So I like this. I like this run. I think that maybe not the Knicks and Toronto. I don't think Toronto. I think Toronto's window's closed, and I think that they need to shop Lowry. But I like the Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Miami, Boston. I don't see. Obviously, I think Brooklyn is better than everyone else. But like, I think any of those teams go up against each other, it's a 6 or 7 game series.
Yeah, we've seen, like I've said before on the podcast, we've seen an influx of competition since LeBron James has left the Eastern Conference. Like you said, the Nets, I think they're still 1 game behind the 76ers. I think they had 20, they both have 22 wins.
Half a game. Half a game.
Yeah,
Yep, they both have 22 wins. Yep.
Yeah,
That's it, it's all worked out weird. But something that pops off the chart now I'm reading this is Philadelphia is 14-2 at home.
they're a good team.
Yeah.
Like I said on the podcast, like I said on my video of Joel Embiid, he has really led that team into a great, the number 1 seed in the East. And Doc Rivers, he had a lot of complaints over the offseason of people saying he's a bad coach. I think he also has a big deal to deal with the 76ers really playing great to the start of the season.
Yeah. Doc Rivers got a little chip on his shoulder, you know, I mean, because of the Clippers struggles last year. Another thing that pops off is Brooklyn is 8-2 in their last 10. So that's, and then Miami 7-3, like we mentioned before, talking about Jimmy buckets. So I think that's something that very eye opening. And if Brooklyn can keep scoring 150 points a night, I mean, we talked about it. If they can score 150 points a night, which they are doing, I don't see a reason to go out and shop and trade if this team chemistry is clicking.
Yeah, I think at this point they're just on a we're gonna outscore you type of game. They're not really gonna. I don't think they're really basing their team identity on defense at all. We're just gonna outscore you and want to win the game.
Yeah. Another thing before we leave the Eastern Conference talk is Indiana Pacers are 3-7 in their last 10, and Boston is 4-6. What do you think? We'll start with the Pacers first and go to the Celtics. What do you think the Pacers can work on after the All-Star break? Do you think that they go shopping? Do you think they trade? Or what do you think? They traded for Karis LeVert earlier, traded out Victor Oladipo. So what do you think the Pacers can work on to try to make sure they natch on a playoff spot?
I think they're fine. I don't think it's an overreaction in thinking that they're in trouble or nothing. I don't think they need to make a sign or anything like that. I think they'll be with the team that they have now. You know, Karis LeVert's still not playing, right?
Yeah, Karis LeVert is injured, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I thought he had the thing in his I think it was they found something in his lung or something like that. But I think you could just wait for him to come back. Hopefully he comes back by the end of the year. They're a solid team. They'll
I'll
be
say they've been a solid team. I don't think I don't think championships are in their future, but
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Do you think what do you think Boston does? Trade Kemba?
I've been voicing this on my Twitter. You know, if you guys want to follow my Twitter, Eric Wilson. You know, I've been voicing. He had a pretty good, decent game yesterday. You know, he had I think it was 32 points. That's his last 30-point game since last year, I think. But you know, I don't see where Kimba's really helping them out in the end. You know, with the game versus the Pelicans, when the Pelicans came back, I think from a 24-point lead down the stretch, you just see Kimba Walker just throwing up brick 3-point shots. I'm like, can we just get to the paint? You do not need threes, just get to the paint. But I just don't see, you know, the positivity that Kimba really brings to that offense. You have to trade him if you are Danny Ainge. I just don't think he's doing well for the Boston Celtics right now.
I think they should shop for a big and try to go that route. I don't know about Kristaps Porzingis, but I think they go for a big. All right, staying or going to the Western Conference, we got the red hot Utah Jazz. Obviously 8-2 in their last 10, 15-2 at home. Their 26 wins, league high. Yeah, I would say 26 wins, league high. And then we got Clippers at 2, Lakers at 3, Phoenix at 4, Spurs at 5, Portland at 6, Warriors at 7, Nuggets at 8, and then rounding out, we got Dallas at 9 and Memphis at 10, tied with the Pelicans and the Thunder. So, are you shocked? Here's what I'll start out with. Are you shocked by Houston's struggles shipping out Harden and getting Wall? They released Cousins this week. Are you shocked that Houston's struggling this hard?
No, I'm not shocked. You know, of course, if you're going to take a great player like James Harden away from that team, you know, he was the make model and everything to make that team go where they were. I definitely expected them to like just plateau, but I think maybe they can make a push after this All Star break. You know, they still have John Wall and Victor Oladipo, but you gotta. I guess they're going back to small ball for a reason. I didn't really like the opinion of that, and they have Christian Wood. I think he's almost back from his injury, or he still might be injured. So I think you can just still make a push after the All-Star break. I don't think there's really nothing to I don't really think, like you said, I don't really see championships in their future. Maybe if they even make it to the playoffs, they'll probably try to get an eighth seed, but I'm not really sure what they're
Yeah,
doing.
I was gonna say PJ Tucker has been a name around the league that has been rumored. Boston, Brooklyn, that he might go somewhere. Houston's on a 10-game losing streak right now, so we'll see what happens. Some guys or some teams playing hot in the West, which actually I'm looking at these numbers, Eric. I'm talking like the West is on fire. The Clippers have won 7 out of their last 10. Phoenix has won 8 out of their last 10. Golden State Warriors and Dallas have won 7 out of the last 10. So where do you see all this? Do you see the Spurs staying in the playoffs? I would say DeMar DeRozan's kind of pissed that he didn't make the All-Star game. Um, I don't know. I think Dallas gets in, but then that means you got to take someone out. So I see. Are we gonna see Denver or Dallas or Golden State not make the playoffs this year?
I'm not really sure if the Spurs are a real playoff team, to be honest. I thought I heard a rumor about them shopping around DeMar DeRozan or LaMarcus Aldridge. I was for sure it was probably LaMarcus Aldridge, but I'm not sure if they're really a legit playoff team. I just, like I've said, I've voiced my opinion. It all matters how they're going to play after the All-Star break. We've seen teams go up and we've seen teams go down. So I really don't think they'll stay at that fifth spot. You said fifth spot, right?
Yeah, fifth spot.
I don't think they'll stay at the fifth spot. And one thing, it's just going off topic a little bit, but you know how DeMarcus Cousins has been released from the Houston Rockets. I think a big thing the Lakers could probably do maybe pick up DeMarcus Cousins. I've been saying it. They got to pick him up, maybe on a league minimum or something. They
I
need
saw
something.
Golden State's interested.
Because you cannot have Marc Gasol. I mean, Marc Gasol, he's out of his prime. He's just standing up in the paint with his hands up. You cannot have Marc Gasol in the paint in the Western Conference. No, they had to do something, at least have DeMarcus Cousins, but they have to pick him up. We've seen him and Anthony Davis play great together. And they picked up, I think it was
Damian Jones.
Yeah, Damian Jones.
I want Lakers to get PJ Tucker. Dude, I think that would be a perfect fit. PJ Tucker, dude, I like that move. But then PJ Tucker ain't a 5. You know what I mean? He struggled a little bit last year, playing the 5 for the Houston Rockets. But I think PJ Tucker will be a great fit for the Lakers. He's a 3-ball guy. That corner 3 is money. And he can guard 4 down, you know what I mean? But I don't know if I would want him guarding a 5. Then we still talking about, dude, could you imagine DeMarcus Cousins? Well, then you gotta replace Kuzma if you're gonna put in PJ and you're gonna put him at the 4. You can't play Kuz.
You can't have this in the playoffs, man.
I would say I'm not a Kuz guy.
You can't have this in the playoffs, man. He's too old, man.
Especially when he's gonna be playing against Joel or someone at the finals.
Barbecue chicken, guaranteed.
Yeah, or even the West. I mean, you got Rudy Gobert. Who's the center for the Clippers?
Ibaka.
Yeah. I mean, you got Montrezl Harrell though on the Lakers, but he ain't no defense.
Not a good defensive player. He's solely offense.
You got DeAndre Ayton. You got, dude. Yeah, the Western is kind of loaded with bigs. Warriors got Wiseman. Denver, Jokic. Jokic will give the buckets on. Jokic will give Marcus all buckets.
Buckets. They got. I don't. And I wasn't the type of guy that was happy with the offseason signing of him. I saw a bunch of people on Twitter. Oh, they got Marc Gasol. I'm like, isn't Marc Gasol almost like 40 years old? Like, why are y'all really happy about Marc Gasol coming to the Lakers? I'm pushing for them to get DeMarcus Cousins, because if they get DeMarcus Cousins, I think there'll be some trouble in the West.
Yeah, I definitely for sure think so too. So any final thoughts for you?
My final thoughts is just Lakers. I'm telling y'all, this is coming from the bottom of my heart. I want to see my man LeBron James win at least one more ring. If you are listening to this, LeBron James, you do not need Marc Gasol in your starting lineup. Go ahead and check out DeMarcus Cousins. He's perfect for your team. He's gonna be perfect to pair with Anthony Davis and the Nets. Please do not rush Kevin Durant back from his injury. Let him take his time.
Yes,
please.
I'm with you. I am with you on that. Nets. If whoever, Steve Nash, whoever is watching this, James Harden and Kyrie can win ball games by themselves. You know what I mean? You don't need. And that's the same for the Lakers. Don't rush back Anthony Davis. Get in the playoffs. That's LeBron had a 4 seed with the Cavs and took them to the finals. So don't rush back Anthony Davis, because you ain't winning a championship without him. So I don't think the Lakers win a championship without AD.
Of course not.
Don't rush those guys back. They'll be fine to wait a week or 2. That's what I forget what NBA insider said this, but he goes rest. He said rest Anthony Davis until like 2 weeks left in the season. He said just make sure. He said just coast into the playoffs.
I don't know if you can do that though.
But LeBron, 36 years old. The GOAT is 36. He don't want to play 45 minutes a night.
Yeah, you can't have a low seed in the Western Conference. You have to stay at the high seeds. You got to stay at the above 5. You cannot go down to the 8s. Then you got to face the Jazz and the Clippers in your first round. So I don't know if it'll be smart.
I think that 4 seed looks pretty though. I think 4.
Yeah, you gotta lay off on the minutes that you're having LeBron James play the games though. You gotta. I'm sorry. LeBron James, if you're listening to this, please stop playing so many minutes. You are going to injure yourself like you did against the Warriors on Christmas Day. Please stop playing so many minutes. All right, I'm done. I'm done.
No, that season was depressing because like you don't got him to watch then, and I felt like that season was so crazy when he went down and didn't give Lakers that. I think he stays up, plays the rest of those 30 games, champion or not championship that year, but still goes to the playoffs.
No, they'll go to Western Conference Finals. They'll
Yeah,
probably
but still like not missing the playoffs. You know what I mean? All right, that's all for us today. I'll say, Eric, drop your socials.
Of course, I talk with Eric. That's my Twitter and Instagram. My personals are Eric Wilson on Instagram and Twitter. I just talk a little bit basketball. I don't know everything. I try my best. I don't know a lot. I'm just the guy that likes to watch. Oh, dang! I'm just the guy that likes to watch a little bit of basketball. I really enjoy these conversations I have with Braden. We do this almost every other day. It's great combos, man.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah, I love either jumping on your show or jumping on mine. I was gonna say this was just spur of the moment. I was like, man, there's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA. You want to jump on? So yeah, guys, follow Eric. Eric's an awesome dude. I was say I'm glad I met him a couple of months ago, and we hit this thing off, and we just got the ball rolling. You know what I mean? I talked about how I didn't really feel confident in doing this, and now that we're in it, dude, I can't get off of it. I want to do one every single day, either with you or with someone else. But yeah, I was gonna say this is my 6th podcast. How many have I done with you? 3 or 4? I think this is our 4th one together. This is our 4th one on my show alone. I'll say yeah, but
I've done so many in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll say, guys, if you're first time listening and you like the content, go check out Eric Courtside Talk with Eric on YouTube, Twitter. I'm gonna say I mentioned him in my tweets. If you're following my Twitter, Crev's Corner, and then yeah, man, I was gonna say always good having you on. Good conversation, and I'll see you around. See you guys.